if you're talking to candidates, right? Is that something that you dive deep into to try to figure out like what their motivation is? And if
Yeah.
if you were talking to me and you saying, look, you're really running away from something, you're not running towards something. Like how would you coach me? How would you advise me?
Yeah. I'm always asking candidates, what really brings you to the job market? Are you looking for just maybe a bump in income? And that's okay. That's what brings most people to the job market. Or are you looking for
Welcome to the Vision to Reality podcast. I'm your host, Curtis L. Jenkins, and in each episode, I speak with industry experts, thought leaders, and innovators to break down the strategies, techniques, and methods that turn their ideas into reality. Whether your vision is to scale your business, build and lead a winning team, prepare for your next big career move, this podcast is for you. Let's get started and bring your vision to reality. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Vision to Reality podcast, where we highlight amazing leaders, people who have turned their personal or professional visions into reality. I'm your host, Curtis Jenkins. I'm glad you're here today because we have an incredible episode lined up for you. We're talking about hiring with purpose, what top talent and top employers really want, something that can make a huge impact to your business, career, or leadership approach. You don't want to miss this, especially if you're a job seeker. So to help us dive into this subject, joining me today is Carly Kelly, results-driven IT talent solutions professional with strong skills in project management, client relations, strategic planning, and cross-functional teamwork. Energetic, and you'll see that, energetic, creative thinker with experience in talent acquisition, marketing, supply chain, and merchandising-based roles. Carly, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right. So I loved reading your introduction, and I want to learn a little bit more about you. First, who needs to hear this? Who needs to listen to this episode?
I really think everybody could take something from this episode, whether you're currently in the job market, you're thinking about entering it, or you're a hiring manager on the other end of things. There's definitely some nuances in today's market that I think everybody could really benefit from hearing.
Awesome. And why do you do what you do?
That's a good question. I love people. I love helping people and I love making connections. I think this job, while very challenging, much more challenging than I think I could have ever imagined, it brings a lot of joy. Being able to place people in job positions that they've always dreamed of having, or finally finding them a position that works for them after months of not having a role. And also just elevating teams on the other side, working with hiring managers to bring in the best talent to their team and bringing them to that next level. It's really exciting and rewarding.
Yeah, what's the most fun part?
Most fun part, I am on the client side, and I love working with my clients and getting to know them on a personal level. Um, you know, in a job like this, it is 24/7, so it's nice to make personal connections that make it feel a little bit more fun than just business all the time.
Okay. Were you born for this job?
I would say so. Yeah. I love people. I love talking with people and making, like I said, connections. So, there's a million different types of sales that I could have gotten into, but I think I chose the right one.
Yeah. And that was a trick question because was given your energy. I just said, I'm going to ask that question to see how you would answer it because I think you were born for this job.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So I want to ask you a question and I'm going to go right into AI. And the
Okay.
reason for this is I literally just got a message from LinkedIn. I want to
Mhm.
read it and then ask you a question. With innovations like advanced search and AI assisted messaging, you'll reduce the time it takes to find the right talent while reaching candidates others can't. In fact, 74% of recruiters report AI assisted messaging saves time. Do you use AI? Talk to me about the AI impact on what you do?
Yeah, we absolutely use AI here at Insight Global. We use it as a tool. I think a lot of people are scared that it's going to take over things, but I honestly think the opposite. Um, Insight Global, just like a lot of companies around the world, are using AI to grow their businesses, which means ultimately more jobs. We here at Insight Global use AI a lot on the recruiting side. We now have our Hope AI tool that once I, as the account manager, put in a job opening into our system, our recruiters are able to see out of the millions of resumes that we have in our proprietary database, which resumes match that requisition and it'll even give a percentage. This resume matches this job requisition by 98%. So it's allowing us to fill roles quicker, but also with more accurate candidates based off of their skill set. But that definitely doesn't take away the fact that people are at the center of what we do. None of our consultants or hiring managers are ever going to speak with a chatbot, but it definitely is a tool to increase efficiency and productivity.
I see. So AI, if I get an email from AI,
Hmm.
I feel like I can tell it was from AI and I feel like I'm not being touched. Then, especially the rejection, right, in the beginning.
Yes.
And then the other thing I want you to address is, as a job seeker, hey, recruiter, you ghosted me,
Mm.
right? So these are some of the things that I hear from job seekers. Can you kind of lean into both of those items?
Yeah, yeah, and the rejection side is definitely the least favorite part of my job, both being rejected by potential hiring managers or relaying not great news to our candidates. I can't speak for the industry as a whole, but I know here at Insight Global, our people are our power. You won't be receiving any AI automated messages from us regarding rejections, and I'm trying to remember the second part of your question there.
Yeah. So the second part is, so first I talked about the AI response, right?
Mhm.
Rejection letter. The second part is recruiters often ghost me. You see that a lot on LinkedIn. Yeah, talk to.
Yes. Okay, yeah. So, something that I have for this is, from my own personal experience, I haven't always been at Insight Global. I had a career prior to this. So I was in the job market just about 2 years ago, post COVID. And something I think we all need to be aware of is when you're applying to mass amounts of jobs at one time with the same resume, you might not always hear back.
Yeah.
By no means does the recruiter mean to ghost you in any way. However, with the amount of resumes that we review a day, the biggest piece of advice I can give to avoid being ghosted is to alter your resume to ensure that every single job that you are applying to matches the job description to the best of your ability. But also, don't fluff it up too much. You got to be able to speak to what's in there. But I can say, with just the amount of job openings and candidates that are in the market right now, you really need to stand out to avoid those ghost situations. I know it's nobody wants to be ghosted and nobody intends to ghost, but I think setting yourself up for best possible success of to get some responses is really just to apply more intentionally.
One of the things that just came to my mind is, let me fight AI with AI.
Mm,
Well, let me take my resume, run it through AI, uh, and it goes to the recruiter system that's using it. Are you, can you tell if that's happening?
absolutely. So that is why, and I know I mentioned this, we're never going to remove our people from the job because we do a multi-screening process. So
Mhm.
not only are you talking to our recruiters, but you would also be talking to me, and we'll be talking to your professional references as well before we ever send any resumes over to the hiring managers. And we also do a video call with our consultants to ensure there's no bait and switches, because we've seen that happen quite often as well. And that's really where, if you're fluffing up your resume a little too much and then you get on an interview and you can't speak to what's in there, chances are you used AI to fluff that up a little bit. So we can definitely, there's some red flags that are raised when we're looking at resumes, whether it's just the template that's used, the wording that's used. We try to uncover those as best as we can in our initial conversations.
So now you're having a conversation with a job seeker, right?
Mhm.
You want to advise them to not do that. What would you say to them?
To not use AI?
Use
Yeah. Oh,
AI?
yeah. Yeah, don't use AI. I mean, I think, again, it's a tool. If you're looking for maybe a word swap out or a better way to phrase something, make it a little bit more sharp, absolutely. Let's see what it comes up with, but throwing your resume in there with say another job position and saying, "Take my applicable skills and really beef them up," it's not going to be good for anybody, right? Use it as a tool, don't use it to completely redo your skill sets, I guess.
Gotcha. And look,
Yeah.
your resume might come out with six fingers, right?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, it might be a little wonky.
Okay. All right. So you work a lot with candidates, and with your clients. I would say, what makes candidates stand out? So now you're talking to job seekers and their preparation, right? We talked a little bit about the resume. Well,
Yeah.
what really makes a candidate stand out?
Yeah. To me, and I won't again speak for everybody else, but I think the soft skills is what makes a candidate stand out. In
Mhm.
today's world, you have all the information you could ever want to learn at your fingertips. And a lot of people are putting in that effort to learn that or get that next certification or learn that new skill set. But being able to have the soft skills today is you can't really teach that. You can teach a technology, you can teach how to code or script, but being able to form connections, culture is big for a lot of companies today. Team culture, a lot of companies are returning to in office. So being able to build camaraderie with your colleagues, just those soft skills, I think, is really what I think makes a candidate stand out. A little bit more of that drive.
Okay. And then you talk about the soft skills
Yeah.
that's needed. That's such a big deal, right?
Yeah.
You know, let's talk about hiring managers and their soft skills. What are some of the challenges you have with hiring managers as it relates to, satisfying their needs?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the biggest challenge that I face with hiring managers is really building that trust, especially in a lot of new relationships, new clients and companies. I can say that I'm going to work my ass off for you until I'm blue in the face,
Mm.
but providing examples and backing myself with my company and everything that we have established, and honestly, just getting my foot in the door to prove to you that I can do it. I think that's one of the biggest challenges I face with a lot of hiring managers today. And I think soft skills again, that's a big part of my job is to
Yeah.
understand when you're pushing a little too hard, or when you got to take feedback with a grain of salt, or it really is understanding people. And again, that's why I like building those personal relationships. My strongest hiring manager relationships are ones that we're friends outside of the office too. Um, so yeah, I would say the biggest challenge is really in the beginning, just gaining that trust.
So if I sum that up, the biggest challenge is just sales, right? I mean,
Yeah, it's just the job.
that's part of the job.
Yeah.
And so now let's just assume you're already working with the hiring manager, right?
Mhm.
What are some of the things that you want hiring managers to do? And what are some of the things you want hiring managers to stop doing?
Yeah.
I mean, you already have the deal and you're trying to get them the best talent.
Yeah. So things that I would love for every one of my hiring managers to do, just really open communication. I'm going to match your urgency and your aggression on this role. So if you tell me that you needed this role filled yesterday, I'll have candidates in your inbox within the next few hours. But if then you don't have the availability to interview these candidates until next week, that's where there's some problems. So open communication and just transparency with really how much time can you give back to me to make sure that we're kind of meeting in the middle here to get the job done. That would be the biggest thing that I ask all hiring managers to do. Open and honest communication. Be realistic with how much time you have to give to this, and I'll match it. I'll match whatever speed you want to move at. And I would also say, just as far as the transparency goes on what's going on in the internal communications. If we're working on a role and then you hear maybe there's somebody internally that we can bump up. Be honest with us about it. The most important thing at the end of the day for both you and I is that this role gets filled with the best talent. If that doesn't come from me, bummed, sure, but more opportunities will come in the future. As I wouldn't be a good partner if I was, you know, if I didn't at least suggest, do you have anybody internally that would maybe work for this?
Yep.
To me, it's a partnership. It's not rec hunting or anything like that. So, and anything that I guess for hiring managers not to do, don't jump the gun. It's one thing to ask for market analysis. I'll send you over candidates if you're being transparent about it. But I think I can speak for myself and most of my colleagues. There's nothing worse than putting in a lot of time and effort, and you get to the end of it, you're ready to offer a candidate the job, and then you realize that the budget was never approved, or the role itself was never approved to the project. So I think just there's a level of transparency there. Again, it all goes back to that. So yeah, do communication, don't, I guess, how would I sum that up?
Well, what I'm thinking about is the ripple effect, right?
Mhm.
So now you just uncovered for me something that when I see job seekers who are sort of bummed about the entire process, and they just had it, and so they put
Yeah.
things on LinkedIn. I mean, if I string that together, right, you've been working your behind off trying to get the right candidate. That
Yeah.
candidate went through one, two, three interviews, and then you have to deliver the bad
Yeah.
news, right? And the
Yep.
hiring manager just gets to just tell you, sorry, I don't have a budget.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm telling you, it's the worst part of my job.
Yeah,
Yeah, nobody likes delivering bad news, but I think especially, being in the job market is such a vulnerable place for a lot of candidates.
yeah,
Whether you're, actively seeking, you're not in a current role and you're just dying for that next opportunity, or maybe you're just seeing what's out there. It's very easy to reach burnout when you're in the job
yeah.
market. It's almost a second full-time job. So yeah, it's not fun delivering that news. I think in piece of that, for any advice I have for somebody who is feeling that burnout in the job market and defeated, protect your peace. Sector off some time each day or each week.
Mhm.
That is when you're going to focus on the job hunt. When you focus on it all day, every day while you're trying to do other things, you're not going to be organized. It's going to get a little messy. You might be applying to jobs that do you really qualify for it? Probably not. You're going to get rejections. So that is where I think I need to remind myself, and I remind a lot of my candidates, the right opportunity is going to come. But, stay organized, put your energy into the right places, and just keep on keeping on.
Okay, so I see what you did there. You kind of connected your sales process,
Hmm.
right, with a job seeker's process. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let me get through a little history lesson. Who is Carly Kelly, and how'd you get here?
Yeah. So I never thought I would be in a technical role, honestly. I graduated from Penn State. Well, I'll start out. I was born and raised in Philadelphia. I went to Penn State University. I got my degree in marketing and international business, and I had my dream job right out of college. I was in merchandising for TJX companies. Loved it. Unfortunately, a year later, COVID hit. So the world kind of got turned upside down. Lived at home for a little while, but was still working with TJX. And then once everybody started returning to the office, my family was growing. My first nephew was born, so I decided to move home. Stayed within merchandising. I worked at GoPuff in the snacks category, working with clients and outside vendors, and really liked it. But I had always had sales in the back of my head. And after hitting a bit of a burnout from startup culture, I realized it might be a time for me to make a switch. I had a few friends here at Insight Global who were dying for me to give it a try. So came in for an interview, and I really did fall in love with it. I thought I was really scared of being on the technology team. I thought maybe the business team would be a little bit more my speed, but I joined the IT team in January 2023, and I was able to hit my first sales contest last year, and now here we are in 2025, and still pushing. So that's kind of my background. I'm really happy I made the jump, and I definitely don't see myself leaving here or just sales in a long time.
Hey, I just wanted to take a quick break to say thank you for tuning into the Vision to Reality podcast. If you're enjoying the show, be sure to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you're ready to level up your business or career, I've got some great resources for you. To turn your business vision into reality, my book, Vision to Reality, Start Working, Start Living, is available now and filled with strategies to help you bring your goals to life. Plus, the companion Vision to Reality digital workbook is the perfect tool to guide you step by step through the process. You can grab both at curtisljenkins.com. And if you're preparing for your next job search, check out my book, The Only Job Search Book You Will Ever Need. This book uses proven marketing strategies that have been used for over 60 years to help you rise above competition to land your dream job. You can grab your copy at curtisljenkins.com. And I have great news. This book will be updated with a new version that includes recent impacts on the job search process, such as remote work, AI, government policy changes, and much more. Thanks again for listening. Now let's get back to the conversation.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you dived into sales, and if you can project forward, like what are some of the things you're looking at doing besides your day-to-day job that kind of elevates you in this space
Yeah.
to help people?
Yeah. I think, and sorry, do you mean outside of work or here within my job?
Well, I was talking about inside your job, but
Okay.
still talking about you, right? So you can
Yeah.
briefly hit on both.
Yeah, no, I think something that's so important to me is developing talent. A
Hmm.
lot of people, especially anybody who comes in that may have came from another job or a different industry and totally different career path. Like, especially when we do internal interviews, speaking with these candidates to just really understand their passion. I think when making a jump like that, completely different industries, completely different career path, it's important to be passionate about the new career path you're going into, not just, going for it because you need a new opportunity, but more so because you really want it. So, developing new talent and having internal interviews happen, that's really where I find joy is just kind of vetting out, if I think somebody, I'm like, listen, I don't know if this is really going to be your thing, but having those honest conversations, I have had a lot of recruiters now who may have gone on to different roles outside of Insight Global, but still having that time developing them and leading them to that decision to
Hmm.
ultimately do what's best for them. That's really where I find the most joy in my job, just
Got it.
developing people.
Got it. You touched on something that
Hmm.
I want to do a little bit of deeper dive into. Talking about switching careers, right?
Yeah.
And I find you're in technology, right? I
Yeah.
find a lot of people come from the business to switch to technology more so than people switching to technology into business. Is
Hmm.
that a true statement from your perspective?
Yeah, I would say so. I think just with how much technology has grown, it's not really a single sector industry anymore. It's
Yeah,
every industry is impacted by technology. It's not going anywhere. So, yeah, I would say a lot of people are more attracted towards technology than out.
got it. So one of the things that since I wrote my first book
Mhm.
5 years ago, the job search market's changed so much. But as I would do talks, I would hear a lot of people ask me questions about switching careers. You talked about having a lot of passion with that. Now, there's a person, Dr. Dawn Graham, who wrote the book called Switchers, who I actually want to have on this show. I
Mhm.
hope you're listening. Dr. Dawn, I'm sorry. And so she put a whole career behind that. But what I want is your perspective on just going a little bit deeper, right? Other than just having the passion about switching into the career, what are some techniques or things that people should do to make that journey? What I would think is that if you look at the disparity, say in maybe wages between another career and tech, right? So there's that
Yeah.
group. Then there's the learning curve and certifications and et cetera, et cetera. But what would you tell people to do other than just having the passion to switch careers and what to expect?
Yeah. I would say think ahead of what transferable skills you have.
Transferable skills.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think understanding that, project management in merchandising is a heck of a lot different than project management in IT. Data analysis in merchandising, very different than in IT. So just understanding your transferable skills, but why they're different and how you can develop and transform your skills to fit within that whatever the next project is that you're seeking or the new industry or career path so that when you are interviewing, you can speak to those skills and you're already have that mindset of I understand that I have these skills, but they're transferable, but I'm not necessarily skilled at what it is that I need for this new job, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
And understanding, I already know that I need to build on XYZ in order to be successful in this new role. So just understanding your transferable skills and having a little bit of faith, make the jump. Even if, you don't know if you're going to be successful in the new thing, just try it. Why not?
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. The transferable skills I think is the biggest bridge.
Yeah.
Right? I think the second biggest bridge, if I was going to add on to this for me, is what relationships do you have? Because sometimes people have to take a chance with you, right? That you
Yeah.
can do those transferable skills to actually make that switch. But be interesting to kind of dive deep into that because it's not easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it's not. So yeah, I mean, I think having kind of that in your back pocket, especially when you're
Yeah.
speaking with interviewers, kind of helps build that confidence up and gives you the opportunity to really speak to your abilities, even if maybe you're not coming from an IT background, but you know you can do it.
I would add one more thing, and this is from a personal situation.
Yeah.
Know what you want.
Yeah. Yes.
So I had met this gentleman. I used to fly internationally. I still do for work, but this was years ago. And what I would do is the Ruby Tuesdays was right near the airport. So
Hmm.
what I would do is if I came in from an international flight and I wanted to like readjust my body to the time zone, I'd stop in Ruby Tuesdays and kind of hang out, have something to eat so that I didn't go home and just crash, right?
Yeah.
But because it was near the airport, some of the most interesting people would be there. And I just had so much fun going there and meeting interesting people. And I met this gentleman who was in mergers and acquisitions. And at the time, I was in mergers and acquisitions, right? And
Hmm.
leading integrations, which I kind of still do now, but I was early in my career. And what I was attracted to, what I thought was the business side of the organization. And I have been in IT for a long time.
Yeah.
And so when I talked to this gentleman, he was very, very impressed by me. So much so that I actually flew down to North Carolina. And when I'm there and I have him again, as a captive audience, he wanted me to go deeper. And he asked me a simple question. And that simple question was, what part of the business do you want to go into? And I did not have an answer, which is why I never heard from that man again. I wasted his time. So I had this dream of what I wanted to, but it was not clearly, I couldn't articulate it, right? And
Yeah.
here I am, the vision to reality guy, right? So at that time, I could not create the vision for him enough that he could see a bridge on these transferable skills because I couldn't articulate what I.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think I mean, I couldn't agree more. And I think that's really where the passion also comes back into play. If
Yeah.
you can speak to, your transferable skills, but if you weren't passionate enough to look into that new industry or that new job that you're going for to really understand, okay, how am I going to have to kind of switch this up and how am I going to have to grow to now be successful here, then you didn't want it bad enough. For those companies and those new opportunities and industries that you're looking to go into, when you really know what you want, you're gonna put the extra work in to make it happen.
You know what just showed up for me in this conversation? I realized that the reason I didn't have my passion is because I wasn't running to something.
Yeah.
I was running away from something. And I would imagine if you're talking to candidates, right? Is that something that you dive deep into to try to figure out like what their motivation is? And
Oh,
if
yeah.
if you were talking to me and you saying, look, you're really running away from something. You're not running towards something. Like how would you coach me? How would you advise me?
Yeah, I'm always asking candidates, what really brings you to the job market? Are you looking for just maybe a bump in income? And that's okay. That's what brings most people to the job market. Or are you looking for a place maybe with a little bit more of a healthy culture or to learn something new, which is my favorite. I'm losing my train of thought again. I guess how I can figure out if somebody maybe is just running from something is just applying to a role that it doesn't really make sense, and as you're talking to them, they're like, "I guess I could do that," or again, I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but you can tell when somebody's passionate about something. I can tell when I'm talking to a candidate, especially in these roles, where we can accept applicants without previous experience in maybe a specific industry and we get a lot of those transferable skills. You can tell when somebody's like, "Oh, well, I'll just go for it," or when somebody's like, "This sounds amazing, and I'm really pumped about it." So that's also where it comes back to just protecting your peace and being intentional. Stop applying to the jobs you're not excited about. Go for the jobs that really bring you joy and that make you excited and that give you the jitters when you get on for the interview. Bottle your energy for those opportunities.
Gotcha. Gotcha. You helped a lot of people find jobs.
I hope so. I think so.
You think so? Okay. There was one person you helped that in your head just stands out. If you're going to tell a story about how you helping that person just kind of filled you up.
Hmm.
Who was that person? You don't have to say their names,
Okay.
but just tell me about that whole situation and then what did it do for you? And then maybe did it teach you something about yourself?
Yeah, actually, recently is probably one of my favorites, just because they are such a genuine person and they deserve the world. They are one of our Insight Global redeploys. So my best pro partner, I call it professional recruiting partners, Kate Zangla, she's amazing.
Can I stop
Um,
you for a second? What's a redeploy? I just want to make sure people.
yes. So at Insight Global, we work with consultants who especially in the contract world. They've worked on a contract and maybe their contract is up because the project's over. And we are able to find them a new opportunity with one of our other clients. And, we have a lot of these consultants where we've placed them in multiple jobs across multiple different clients, and we call them our redeploys. They get they're employees that have worked for one of our clients before and have gotten, great references from our clients. So that's what we consider our redeploys. And so Kate was working with one of her redeploys, and I had an opening for one of my clients that I wasn't sure if he was going to have enough of that technical ability to really wow the hiring manager. And this
Mhm.
hiring manager was a little tough. They were going to be overseeing a lot of end users for this particular role. So they really needed to be able to prove their multitasking abilities and just even on kind of the personal side stress levels, how they deal with working with this many people. But I really believed in this guy. He just really does. He is a light. There's a light within him. He's great. So I presented him, and as I knew, the hiring manager was a little iffy. Didn't have as many years of experience as he would really ideally like to see, but I convinced him to bring him in at least just talk to him. A resume can't encompass the soft skills and the drive. So brought him in for an interview. Interview went great. Brought him in for the on-site, and I made sure to drive all the way out there and walk him in for the interview so I could be there right when he got out. And he got out and he was really excited. He's like, I really, really want this. And I was like, if you want it bad enough, then it definitely came out that way in the
Mhm.
interview. And when
Mhm.
I spoke with the hiring manager, he was like, I think he can do it. I know he doesn't have all of the technical skill sets that I really wanted to see in this person, but you're right, he has that drive. And so we were able to extend him the offer. It's so close to his house. It's close to his kids' school, so now he can drop them off and pick them up. And we were able to get him a little bit of a pay bump. So I think that's my favorite story because he just deserved the world. So being able to relay to others, I really believe in this person. Just give them a shot and to see that follow through and to get other people on board and see the value and I mean that's just the best part of this job.
Gotcha. And what'd you learn about yourself in this process?
I can be a little bit more convincing than I thought than I thought I was. I think that was what I learned. I was like, "Oh, that worked out."
Okay. Okay. All right. I got it going on.
I was like, "Oh, I did that. Okay."
How's the market doing for contractors? Yeah. How's the market doing?
Yeah. It's definitely been a little interesting. I think, any year that there's an administration change, it's going to be a little weird in the beginning, for all companies. So now we're starting to get back into a little bit more normalcy as budgets are approved. But I would say we're seeing a shift in contract versus permanent roles. And I would say too, for people in the job market, don't shy away from contract roles. I can't speak for all vendors, but Insight Global offers our consultants benefits. I know that's a big thing with contract roles, but we are seeing that shift. So, don't shy away from it. A lot of times it is kind of just a way to get your foot in the door at a company. A lot of contract roles have the intention to bring on full time. And I think as far as permanent roles goes, the hiring process has been taking a little bit longer. You got to be really sure that that's the person you want to bring onto your team. But overall, the market's been okay. I think there's a lot of candidates out there, especially because there's so many tools right now that people can use to be in the job market. There are a lot of people who aren't maybe active in the job market, but they're throwing their resume around, and that creates more competition. So again, that just brings me back to just be really intentional about the roles that you're applying for. Make sure that your resume is tailored and that all of your skill sets that can work for the role that you're applying for is highlighted and that you can speak very eloquently to them.
Okay. So what I'm understanding is that this is a time where there are four generations of job seekers all in the same spot.
Mhm.
What are you experiencing when I had conversations with people
Mhm.
right after I wrote the book, my first book? It was a lot about ageism. I was going to these career fair talks,
Yeah.
and a lot of older folks there, my age actually, and maybe slightly younger, and they were really, really struggling. And so ageism and you talk about technology keep going, and that when
Yeah.
technology is connected to younger people, like what's happening in the market, and if you think about each of the segments that you're having to deal with, who are you getting the most, and which group is the most challenging?
Yeah, I think, I mean, as far as maybe age groups that I see the most, I would say it's pretty even. I honestly a lot of the roles that I work with aren't too entry level, so I'm not working with a lot of individuals who are right out of college,
Gotcha.
but maybe more so of the 4 to 5 years out but I'm also working with a lot of people who'd be considered past the typical retirement age and are just looking to continue to keep themselves busy and learning, especially in technology. There's always something new to learn. So yeah, I really am I wouldn't say there's a specific age group that I'm seeing more of. I would say it's pretty spread out, but I mean, as far as the age group that I find does see the most difficulty would be older generations who may be past that retirement age and are just looking to continue to keep themselves learning. That's tough, because there's, so much knowledge and power there, but a lot of times they're almost too qualified for roles. They have almost too much knowledge, and hiring managers do get nervous that somebody might be bored by taking a role that might seem for somebody, like, less experienced.
That is so funny. Because I'm older. I would see that I'm taking the job to not be bored. That's one.
Yeah.
And the second one is because it's a contract job,
Mhm.
when we talk about longevity or what you're expecting to get and versus a permanent and not saying you should discriminate either,
Mhm.
you got all this knowledge,
Yeah.
all this experience. And, sometimes you might even get another manager, somebody that can take parts of your job
Yeah.
if you allow them to make your life easier. But I can't understand why any hiring manager would be intimidated by that.
Yeah, and that is definitely a challenge that I face in this job is, understanding the whys from my hiring managers and being able to counteract that.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, the talent that we're working with and just having that full trust, like the story that I just kind of told, it's kind of the opposite, where
Yeah.
maybe a little too junior for the role, but, really truly seeking to understand and then being able to counteract that with just the level of experience that these candidates in this market are bringing. That's really the best way we've been able to go about it. But sometimes, you just don't see eye to eye with your hiring managers, and that is part of the job. And you have to go back out and find somebody who might be a little bit of a better fit. But yeah, that is definitely a challenge we're facing today is just being able to convince hiring managers again to just put that trust in us and our consultants and trust that we have enough knowledge in this job market to know when somebody's right for a role.
Got it. No, this is awesome. I mean, I do appreciate everything that you're sharing here with me. I
Yeah.
do have a question before we go. What's one question that I didn't ask you that a job seeker needs to know and a hiring manager needs to know?
That is a good question. Let me think. So, we touched on a lot. We touched on the transferable skills, we touched on soft skills, um, and being intentional. I think you really got me stumped on this one.
No, it's okay.
I think for hiring managers, okay, I'll start with hiring managers. For hiring managers, something that, I would hope that they take from this is to value your vendors. We at least I wanna see as a tr I wanna be seen as a true partner. I'm not someone here who's just gonna whip out resumes for you. I am not a resume generator. I wanna understand your business so that I can help you solve problems, not just fill a seat. I wanna understand the overall business objective so that we can come to solutions together and continue to grow the business. After this, how is that going to play into this, and how do we continue to grow? Invest in your partners as much as they are trying to invest in you, and, it will be beneficial to the company. So that's what I would say for the hiring managers. And for people in the job market, I think what I would say is just, I guess, I don't know, I know I've said it, but just really just try to be intentional with what you're doing.
Yeah. Don't give up is one of the things I would say.
Yeah, don't give up. It is hard out there right now, and I fully understand that. Oh my god, I empathize with it. But yeah, just, again, try to channel your energy into those opportunities that really excite you, because that's only going to give you a little bit more of that umph. And yeah, don't give up. The right opportunity is coming.
Awesome. How would anyone listening to this find you?
Yeah. So I am on LinkedIn, Carly Kelly. That would probably be the best way to find me. I'm always messaging people on LinkedIn, so feel free to message me. Um, and yeah, I guess that would be the easiest way to find me.
All right. Anything coming up for you? Like any plans, any projects? Getting
I
you're
think
about to write a book. What you got going?
my goal is I have been completely rebuilding my business this year, and it has been challenging, but I've learned so much. So my goal, really what's upcoming for me is I just wanna continue learning, and I just wanna continue building partnerships. I know there's further, maybe promotions like a sales manager or something in the future for me, but in the short term, in the next few years, I really just wanna grow my business to just be sustainable and just continue growing. That's what I love most about this job. I just wanna connect with people and grow my business and grow other people's businesses.
There you go, turning that
Yeah.
vision into reality, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, listen, thank you. It was such a pleasure to have you. Your energy is unmatched.
Thank
Your
you.
is unmatched. You got me smiling inside because if I wanted to be sad, I couldn't have a conversation with you and be sad at the same time. So thank you
Thank
for
you. Thank you. I appreciate it. I've had a lot of fun.
that was awesome. Awesome. So thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining the show. Tune in next time for another episode of the Vision to Reality podcast. Cheers. That's a wrap on today's episode of the Vision to Reality podcast. A huge thank you to today's guests. You can find all of their contact information in any resources mentioned in the show notes below. Also, can you do me a big favor? If you found today's conversation valuable, I'd love for you to subscribe, leave a comment, and a review, and share it with a friend or colleague who could benefit from the information shared today. And remember, vision without action is just a dream. Let's turn those big ideas into reality. I'll see you in the next episode.